This episode of Brains on Games is all about a deck builder for beginners. Welcome to Brains on Games. I'm Dr. Brian McDonald, and this episode I'm excited to share with you a preview of a deck builder game for beginners. Really, it's my first deck builder, I would say, a game called Colour My Kritters. This is a game for between 2 and 6 players. You can play with kids age 6 and older, and you can play a game in about 20 minutes to half an hour. Let's take a look at Colour My Kritters. The idea of this game is that you have these creatures that are missing their color, and you're trying to get paintbrushes and mixing bowls for paint so that at the end of the game you'll be able to color them in, so to speak. And you start the game, like most deck builders, you start the game with just a few cards in your deck. Now, a deck building game is one where, like I said, you start with just a few cards and you gradually build up a deck so that you'll be able to draw more powerful cards. So you might start with a creature like this turtle-looking guy over here, or this, I don't know if that's a beaver, what kind of critter that's supposed to be. But you see they have little splotches of colors in the corner, and those colors are what you're going to use on your turn to buy cards that are here in this marketplace. You'll begin the game with 6 of these cards. You shuffle them up at the beginning, and then you draw 3 of them. And those 3 splotches, sometimes 4 if you're lucky, those splotches are what you're going to use to purchase these cards. Now, these 4 in the marketplace down here are coming from the critter deck, so they have different characteristics and different costs. This one over here in the corner will cost you 2 yellow splotches, and if you draw him from your deck, you will get 2 yellows that you can spend later on. That's the idea. You're trying to build up more and more powerful cards so that you can buy more expensive cards. Up here, one of the ones that I drew, you can see it has a splotch that has multiple colors, and that's like a wild card. You can use that for anything. So in this case, I've got 2 pink, a yellow, and a wild, so I could purchase this one for 2 yellows. I could grab this one. He only costs 1 pink, but look at the ability he gives. If he comes up in that 3-card draw from my deck, I get to draw an extra card, and that can be a pretty powerful ability when you're trying to buy the more expensive ones. Here you've got a wild card. He'll give you a wild color, but he costs you 1 of each in order to get him. I don't have a blue, but I do have a wild card, so I could purchase that one. This guy is special. He doesn't give you any colors when he comes up, but at the end of the game, he gives you some victory points. So he could be a powerful card. You can see he's already colored in. He doesn't need you to color him in, but he's quite expensive. He costs 4 of the yellow or 4 of the pink. So on your turn, you're going to draw 3 of those cards. You'll spend those cards to buy one of the things in the marketplace, and then that goes into your discard, and the next player plays, and it goes around in the circle like that. Let's look at these special cards up here at the top. You've got magic wands. If a magic wand comes up in your deck as one of the 3 cards that you draw, you get to draw an extra card, and you can change the color on one of the cards, so it turns it into a wild card. It doesn't get you any points at the end, though. These are the 2 that give you some points. The mixing bowl will allow you to earn some points for a card of a particular color. Same with this paintbrush. The paintbrush is quite expensive. You need 5 blue splotches in order to purchase it. It's not going to give you any help along the way, but it gives you points at the end of the game. So these 2 things are really cards that you're balancing out. If I draw these as one of my 3, they're not helpful. They're only helpful at the game's end. And the game will end. There's a limited number of them. The game will end when both of these stacks are down to 0, or when a player can't really do anything on their turn. We're talking about a deck builder that allows you to purchase more and more powerful cards as you go to make your deck more powerful and then to earn more points. You are really balancing between victory points at the end and cards that will allow you to purchase more powerful cards through the game. And of course, that means we're talking about those executive functions. You're budgeting and you're thinking about probability here. So you've got that element of probability. How can I build my deck so I'm more likely to draw the cards that I want? And then you're budgeting and planning ahead for, am I going to emphasize the victory points at the end, or am I going to build up a deck to try and buy the most expensive cards possible? Likely you're going to be doing more of the building up the splotches at the beginning of the game, and as the game nears its end, you're going to be trying to purchase some cards that are going to give you points. The designer here was working really hard to create a game that was family friendly, meaning that it's simple. The rules are printed on one double-sided page, at least the version of the rules that I have, so they're short, easy to explain, but also there's not that take that kind of interaction with the other players. You're not penalizing, I can't play a card that's going to attack someone else. Really, the only thing that I can do that's going to impact another player is if I take a card that they wanted to have, or if I take the last paintbrush and that leads to the ending of the game. We're talking then about a game that keeps the stress and frustration to a minimum, hopefully, for the younger ones, and it is really an introduction to those deck builders. Another thing that you'll notice it doesn't have, if you've played a deck builder before, another way that you're tailoring your deck is that you're trying to get rid of cards that aren't powerful, get rid of the cards that you don't want, and one way to influence the other players is by putting cards in their deck that they don't want. That doesn't happen in this game. It keeps that stuff to a minimum, like I said, to reduce frustration and to simplify it so that the younger players can get it. Eventually, kids might move up to more complicated deck building games, but this is a really great place to start. Thanks to the creators of Colour My Kritters for sending this game along. It's a game that's coming up on Kickstarter very soon, and I'll put some links in the show notes so you can track it down. But if you want to track me down, if you have any questions or suggestions about the show, you can find me at brian@brainsongames.ca. Brainsongames.ca is the website. That's where you'll find previous episodes, and future episodes will go up there too. Brains on Games is the Twitter handle and the Instagram feed and the Facebook page, so you can find us all over the place. And if you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to be notified of future ones, you can head on over to YouTube and click that subscribe button. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time.